In the early 1970s, there was an individual diagnosed with terminal cancer and told that they only had 3 months to live. However, after the person's death, it was discovered during the autopsy that the stage of cancer had been misdiagnosed and could not have been the cause of death. In other words, the power of the mind-body connection was so strong that a person who believed that they only had 3 months to live literally willed themselves to death through their mind, because physically the diagnosis was incorrect and could not have been the actual cause of the death. This is incredible. A more recent example. There was an individual taking part in a clinical trial for antidepressants. And this person overdosed on the medication, and as a result had to be admitted to the hospital for severe symptoms. But when it was revealed to this individual that they were actually a part of the placebo of the clinical trial, all of the perceived symptoms rapidly reversed and the individual returned to normal. Again, this is astonishing. The power of the mind to create actual physical symptoms from something that is completely benign. In this case, sugar pills. This is why there would be parables saying that faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. It makes you think about the structure of the entire medical system in the first place. And since I already discussed it, let's take cancer as the example. What if the protocol for cancer was the doctor saying to the patient, hey, so you have some toxicity in your body, and you have some growths that are sort of trying to detach that toxicity from the rest of the body. And so you have these little tumors, we'll call them, that are in this certain area of your body. But hey, this is no big deal. All you got to do is make these changes and you'll be fine. Put another way, if the terror that has been programmed into everyone as it relates to the word cancer was removed, I wonder how that would impact recovery from this quote-unquote disease. The relationship between thoughts and the body and the reality around us is given cliche treatment with phrases like mind over matter. But there's a very real core principle at work here. Do you suppose it's an accident that the news is structured like it is, where it's basically 24/7 negativity? Doesn't matter what the subject is, it's constant fear, anger, hate, resentment streamed into everyone's minds. And it makes you wonder, like the medical corollary discussing the handling of cancer diagnosis, I wonder what the world would look like if the news overwhelmingly reported on only positive stories. And maybe you instinctively and skeptically say, well, there's a lot of bad things that are going on. What are we going to do? Just ignore them? Well, hold on a second. If there were only feel-good stories being reported, or at least those were the majority, as opposed to the situation that currently exists where it's the bleeds it leads formula, and then there's one or two feel-good stories thrown in to try and balance that out every now and again. If it was the reverse, you have to think about the impact that that would have on the collective mind, as far as the way that everyone was viewing the world around them. And as that started to change, actions in the world would start to change, in the sense that the collective energy that everyone was carrying would begin to change. If the mind and our thoughts are powerful enough to literally will ourselves to death, if we believe a diagnosis that we are in a terminal state and only have so many months to live, if that's possible, well then anything is possible as far as what we can be made to believe. And through the microcosm of the mind and its thoughts' effect on the health of the body, we can see the macrocosm of the collective mind and its effects on our collective bodies and our collective states of being, and thus our collective actions. And the collective mind is propagandized with not just toxic news, but toxic culture. And that culture influences the way that we see what the future may hold, or what is possible in the future. If someone can be convinced to will themselves to death without the requisite physical ailment that would cause that, then collectively we can visualize a future through our thoughts and the power of our collective mind that is anything that we want it to be, regardless of anything that our physical bodies are subjected to, or our minds itself through culture. So I hope you can see the metaphor at work here, but if not, I will state it directly. All of our collective belief systems, everything that we have been told and learned, and thus all of the actions that we take based on that information, is the equivalent of ingesting 30 sugar pills thinking that they are legitimate medication. When you are told or discover that they are actually inert pills that can have no specific impact on your thoughts or physical body, you begin to operate from the perspective of your originally created design, where anything is possible.